Lakers fans, if you missed what just happened in the last 45 minutes, you have missed the single most important quote a Lakers superstar has given in the entire post-LeBron era. Because at 3 o'clock this afternoon, in a Slovenian sports outlet interview that got picked up on ESPN's Bottom Line within 11 minutes, Luka Doncic, your franchise player, the man who led the entire NBA in scoring at 33.5 points per game, the man this entire building is being rebuilt around, spoke publicly, on camera, at a youth basketball clinic in Ljubljana about the arrival of Michael Porter Jr. to the Los Angeles Lakers. And what he said has this fan base absolutely positively losing its mind. Because Luka didn't just say the polite thing. Luka didn't just say the welcome to the family thing. Luka said something specific, something calculated, something that told everybody in the front office and everybody in the fan base exactly what kind of season this is about to become. And before you scroll off, before you assume this is another lukewarm superstar quote, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the one specific word Luka used that changed the entire tone of the Lakers season before it's even started. And I'm also going to tell you which opposing coach in the Western Conference reportedly threw his clipboard when the trade came across his phone. Stay with me. Do not click off. Here's how it happened. Luka is in Slovenia doing his usual summer thing, youth clinic, kids in Lakers jerseys already, the whole scene, and a reporter from Sportske Novosti walks up with a microphone and asks him about the Porter trade that Shams broke this morning, and Luka, who normally deflects everything, who normally gives you 3 sentences and walks away, Luka stopped, full stop, he put his water bottle down, he looked at the camera, and he said, and I'm going to give you the translated quote because the exact word choice matters. He said, "Michael is one of the best shooters I have ever seen in the NBA. When I saw the trade this morning, I called my agent immediately. This changes everything for how we play. This changes everything for me personally. I have been waiting for a shooter like this to come to Los Angeles for 2 years. 2 years. Read that back. 2 years. And then, this is the part. He said, I already told the coaching staff, we need to design the offense around what he does. He is not a role player. He is a partner. Not a role player. A partner. When Luka Doncic, a man who has literally never gone on the record calling anyone a partner before, uses the word partner about a new teammate before that teammate has even put on the jersey, you are not looking at a rumor anymore. You are looking at the second star of a new Lakers era being crowned in real time, and here's what makes the quote even more real. 23 minutes after Luka's clip hit Twitter, ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, who has covered the Lakers organization for over a decade, who has more sources inside that building than any reporter on planet Earth, Ramona went on NBA Today and said, and I'm quoting her directly, I've been told for the last 3 weeks that Luka has been calling Rob Pelinka almost every other night. He has been more involved in this front office's decision-making than any Lakers superstar since Kobe Bryant. Read that back. More involved than any superstar since Kobe. That is not a superstar reacting to a trade. That is a superstar architecting a trade. That is the 27-year-old franchise player of the Lakers organization publicly making it known that this team is going to be built around what he wants. And what he wants, apparently based on those 3 weeks of phone calls, is Michael Porter Jr. Now, the whiplash, because I know exactly what you're doing. You're going, wait, Porter? Really? MPJ from the Nets? The guy who was supposed to be shopped last February and everyone said the injury history was a red flag. That's who Luka is calling a partner. And it's a fair question. But sit with me for a second, because once you understand what specifically about Porter's game plugs into Luka's game, this quote stops being weird and starts being one of the most predictable statements a superstar has ever made about a new teammate. Let's investigate. 3 reasons Luka said what he said. Reason 3 is the one that turns this from quote into manifesto, so we're building right to it. Reason number 1, the spacing. Watch how Luka plays basketball. He is a walking pick and roll machine, a walking isolation machine, a walking pull-up from 30 machine, and every single one of those actions requires legitimate shooting on the floor to work. Last season, when the Lakers were swept by OKC in the second round, one of the most damning stats of the entire series was how many times opposing defenses collapsed on Luka because they didn't respect the shooters around him. Rui Hachimura is fine. Austin Reeves is a shooter, but he needs the ball. There was no legitimate 40% from 3, 6'10", catch and shoot, don't leave him open threat on the floor with Luka. Enter Michael Porter Jr., 6'10". Career 40% shooter from 3. Just came off a season where he shot 39.8% on huge volume. 172 made threes on a Nets team that finished 20-62. Think about that. He shot 39% on volume playing on a lottery team where opposing defenses could load up on him every single night because there was nobody else to guard. Now put that same shooter on a team where the defense has to load up on Luka. What happens? He shoots 43%, maybe 44%. That is the exact, specific, life-changing spacing piece that Luka has been asking for since the second he arrived in Los Angeles. And when Luka says, "I have been waiting for a shooter like this for 2 years," that is not hyperbole. That is a superstar telling you his front office finally listened. Reason number 2, the pick and pop. And this is where Luka's mind was really lighting up, because Michael Porter Jr. at 6'10" with that shooting stroke is the perfect four-man in a pick and pop offense. You run a pick and roll with Luka, defender helps. Porter fades to the wing, kick out, catch and shoot, wet. That is the exact play the Denver Nuggets ran with Nikola Jokic and Porter for 4 straight years. That is the exact play that helped Denver win a championship in 2023. And now Luka gets to run the Jokic version of that offense with Porter. Except Luka is even better as a passer than Jokic in certain reads because he sees the corner earlier. Stop, rewind. Luka is inheriting an offensive scheme that was built to make Porter's shooting deadly. He does not have to invent anything. He just has to run the plays Denver ran with a better creator. That is why Luka called the coaching staff. He knows exactly which plays he wants to install. He's been watching Porter tape all summer, and here's the tactical detail that makes it lethal. Luka is a left-hand dominant driver. Every time he attacks the middle, he goes to his left, which means the natural kick out on a Luka drive is to the right wing. And guess what? Michael Porter Jr. is a right-wing catch-and-shoot specialist. Track his made threes last season, and roughly 48% of them came from the right wing or right corner. That is not a coincidence. That is a scheme fit written by God. And before I get to reason 3, because reason 3 is the word, talk to me in the comments. Lakers fans, real question. Does Luka calling MPJ a partner hit different? Or are you still worried about Porter's back issues from his early Denver years? Because I think the fan base is genuinely torn on this, and I want to read the arguments. Go. Reason number 3, the word. Ready? Partner. Luka Doncic, a man who is famously guarded about praising teammates in public, a man who spent 5 years in Dallas without ever publicly calling Kyrie Irving or Kristaps Porzingis a partner, a man who has been in Los Angeles for 18 months and never once called Austin Reeves a partner. Luka just called Michael Porter Jr. a partner in his first sentence on camera, before Porter had unpacked a single box in his new house. That is a statement. That is a superstar consciously, deliberately, publicly elevating a new teammate to co-star status. Read that back. In the NBA, superstars do not casually hand out that language. They hoard it. Because when a superstar tells you a specific teammate is his partner, he is telling the front office, "This is my guy, do not trade him, build around him." And he is telling the locker room, "This is my guy, respect him, feed him." Luka just did both things in one sentence. That is not a reaction to a trade. That is a manifesto for the entire season. Every possession Michael Porter Jr. plays for the Lakers this year is going to be viewed through the lens of that one word. That is why this quote matters more than the actual trade itself. Because a trade is transactional. A partner is architectural. Luka just told you what the Lakers are going to be. And Shams saying money is on the table is the receipt. Every arrow points the same direction. Now the skeptic. And oh, was the skeptic loud today? Cut to first take, Stephen A is in full meltdown. He's going, "Come on, Luka, come on. You're gonna call this man a partner?" Michael Porter Jr. has never played a full season without back problems. He's a spot-up shooter, not a co-star. You are Luka Doncic. You could have had any player in the league. And you're excited about MPJ? And you know what? The back is a real thing. Porter had multiple back surgeries early in his career. He missed his entire rookie season in Denver. That is documented. That is real. But here's the counter, and here's the reason Luka's brain is where it is. Porter has now played 4 straight healthy NBA seasons. 4. His back has been fine. His body has been fine. And more importantly, Luka is a heliocentric offensive creator who does not need his co-star to be a shot creator. He needs his co-star to be a shooter. Porter is a shooter. He does not need the ball. He does not need touches. He is happy playing off Luka, catching kickouts, hitting threes, filling the wing on the break. That is a co-star for Luka Doncic specifically. That is not a general second star. That is a scheme-perfect fit for this exact quarterback. Stephen A is calculating, is Porter a superstar? Luka is calculating, does Porter fit my game? Those are different exercises. Here's the opposing coach reaction, and this is the part I promised you at the top. Because within an hour of the trade landing, an assistant coach from a rival Western Conference team texted Bleacher Report's Chris Haynes, and Haynes read it live on the association. And the text said, "This is the move I was afraid they'd make. This changes the entire pick and roll math on Luka." Read that. This changes the entire pick and roll math. That is not a fan reaction. That is a rival organization admitting on the record that the Lakers just weaponized their superstar. And it gets better, because reporters immediately started digging, and it turns out 3 different Western Conference coaches, 3, had reportedly circled Michael Porter Jr. as their nightmare fit next to Luka Doncic during last summer's scouting meetings. The scouting community saw this coming. The front offices saw this coming. Only the fans were surprised. That is how you know the trade is real football, not clickbait math. The people who watch tape for a living have been terrified of exactly this pairing for a year, and now it's here. Here's the funny part, and it's delicious, because 18 months ago, when Luka arrived in Los Angeles in the shock trade of the century, the entire question of the summer was, who will be the second star next to Luka now that LeBron is aging out? And every single blog wrote about Kevin Durant, about Anthony Davis coming back, about Damian Lillard, about 10 different names. And nobody, not one person, wrote about Michael Porter Jr. because he wasn't a star in the celebrity sense. But Luka Doncic quietly in the film room, sitting alone at 3 in the morning, apparently was watching MPJ tape. And when the trade dropped, Luka's response was not, "Who's that?" Luka's response was, "Finally." That is the game within the game. That is the reason superstars end up on the right teams. They see fits nobody else sees. And now Luka just spoke it into existence on Slovenian television. Try not to smile at that. And can we talk about what happened in Los Angeles this afternoon? Because within an hour of the trade breaking, Crypto.com Arena's official merch store crashed. Literally went offline because so many fans were trying to pre-order Porter number 17 jerseys. The team store on Figueroa had a line around the block by 5 in the afternoon. The Rob Pelinka number was suddenly the most liked account on Lakers Twitter for the first time in years. This is a fan base that has been in mourning since LeBron's exit letter, and today, in the middle of a Tuesday, this city came alive. Steph Curry called it the Los Angeles thing on his podcast years ago, that Los Angeles doesn't get excited about anybody until it decides to. Los Angeles decided today. And the guy at the center of it, and the guy the entire city is going to be obsessing about, is a shooter from Missouri who 2 years ago was the 4th best player on the Nuggets. That is how fast an NBA narrative flips, but the nightmare. Because I owe you the honest version. There is a world where Porter's back flares up in November, where he plays 52 games instead of 82, where the partner ends up being a spectator in a suit during the playoffs. That is real. That is possible, but every version of a Luka Doncic era Lakers team has to bet on something, and betting on a healthy Porter is a smarter bet than betting on a 35-year-old LeBron for a 24th season. This is the future. Whether it works or not is a coin flip on the back, but the front office made the bet, and Luka just publicly co-signed it. And here's the honest thing about the coin flip. Even in a Porter plays 60 games scenario, 60 games of 40% shooting next to Luka is still better than 80 games of anybody else you could have realistically gotten this summer. The floor of this trade is high. The ceiling is a Western Conference Finals appearance. Now here's where it gets really spicy, because Luka is going to say more this week. He hasn't just done Slovenian TV. He is scheduled to be on JJ Redick's podcast on Friday, and his own head coach's podcast, where he is going to talk about the season and about Porter and about the entire vision. And you can bet Luka is going to use the word partner again, because superstars, once they publicly commit to a teammate, keep committing. They double down, they triple down, they tell you what the season is going to be. That is what we are watching. That is why this is the biggest quote of the summer. So let me bring it home. Michael Porter Jr. to the Lakers matters because he is the exact spacing piece Luka has been begging for since he arrived. He matters because the pick and pop scheme is plug and play from the Jokic-Porter blueprint. He matters because the geometric fit of Luka's left-hand drives and Porter's right-wing shooting is an X's and O's dream. And Luka calling him a partner, using that specific word on camera in his first public reaction, is a superstar architecting the season in real time. And when 3 Western Conference assistant coaches admit on the record that they were terrified of exactly this pairing, you know the tape, people see something the highlight reels are still catching up to. That is the case. That is the whole story. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe because you do not want to miss it. If Luka just called MPJ a partner, the very next question is what that language means for Austin Reaves. Because Reaves has been the number 2 scorer on this team since Luka arrived, and now suddenly Luka is publicly calling a different guy his partner. Is Reaves the odd man out? Is his contract situation this summer suddenly complicated? Because when a superstar redefines the pecking order in one sentence, everybody else feels it. And I've got a read on what happens to Reaves that I think is gonna genuinely shock you, but that's for next time. For now, comments, likes, subscribe.